Welcome to another episode of the Alignment Podcast. Today we have Stephen Puri on with us. Before we hit record, we were talking about a bunch of different things he's done, but self-described as a senior executive in film. He's raised over $20 million of venture funding, and he's just working on really interesting things in
Ooh,
doing it
interesting
in
things.
interesting ways. And so
I hope I can
thanks,
live up to
Stephen,
that.
yeah, it's high expectations, but thanks for coming on the podcast. Super excited to talk with you.
Absolutely. I hope this is for those playing along at home or in their cars. I hope this is both entertaining and maybe helpful in some ways.
I'm sure it'll be great. Okay, so to get started,
Mm.
give us an elevator pitch of what you've done in your life and what you're most excited about right now.
Yeah. I know your questions. So elevator pitches. I started out as the son of two engineers at IBM, right?
Okay.
So mom was a software engineer, dad, a hardware engineer. I learned how to code when I was little, was doing that into college. I was a Watson scholar. So I could work as a junior software engineer at IBM to make money during school. Happened to be in LA when film went digital, and I knew digital really well and ended up producing digital film, like computer generated effects for film. Did about 14 movies, which was super fun. Everything from True Lies to Braveheart to A More Beloved, Seven with Fincher, and a bunch of stuff like that, right? I produced the digital effects for Independence Day. We won the Academy Award for the visual effects on that, which was super fun. And then had a moment where I was like, okay, I think I get the film thing, and this is cool. It's not where I thought I'd be going, but could actually make a movie, not just make the digital part of someone else's movie. So I started down the road to be a studio executive. Because I think, because you saw, what I've been up to. I was a vice president at 20th Century Fox. So I was running like the Die Hard, the Wolverine franchises there, stuff like that, action movies, basically. And I was an executive vice president at DreamWorks for Kurtzman, which was the era of like Transformers 1 and 2, Star Trek 11, Eagle Eye, like those kind of movies. Super fun.
All right, so
Did
you're a
that.
legend.
No, not a legend. I've worked with a lot of really smart people, and I'm super lucky. I'm like one of the
That's
luckiest
awesome.
people you'll meet. And then I got back into tech where I was like having a moment. It was on Die Hard 5 where I was like, this is a terrible movie, but my studio absolutely wants to make it. We're locked into a release date just because they're like, it'll make money. Like, we don't care if it's good.
Yeah.
It'll make money, And I was like, I don't want to wake up, be 40, 50 years old, be making Die Hard movies that are bad just because it's like, well, people will see them if you make them cheap enough. And the only other thing I knew how to do was engineering. So that's when I was like, what have I learned? I've been around some really impressive, interesting people, and they had some specific techniques about how they were sustainably high performance. And one of them was flow state. So, I built a website, took all the research we found on how to get into a flow state and stay there and put it in a website. And that's what I do now.
That's awesome. Okay, so
There you
we
go.
talked about this a little bit before.
Yep.
On average, how much time do you spend in a flow state a day?
Yeah. So in terms of chronotype, which is the concept, there are times of day you're more adept at certain things. You and I share that early morning sort of clarity. So I know you said from like 3 to 7. For me, it's like 6:30 to 9. Like that is really when I have that quiet time where I can, open up Suka, hit play, the music begins, it blocks my distractions, and I get deep. Later in the day, it's a lot of interactive work, and that's not really flow. That's Zoom meetings, it's interactive things. Yeah. So it's that early morning quiet time.
Okay, so I'm curious, and you probably know these are things that I could Google, but on
Ooh.
average, how much flow state does somebody get in a day in the US or the average knowledge worker?
No, it's only becoming popular now. It's interesting because it's now in the developer community, devs are recognizing like flow is a thing.
Yeah.
Writers and people have different words for it. Let me be super clear. Like it's not all called flow states. Some people call it like being in the zone. Like Michael Jordan's famous quote about when I'm in the zone, it's me and the ball. That's what he's saying. He's like, I'm in a flow state. Like the world falls away. I didn't even see the scoreboard or the stands it's like my world is reduced down to the state of flow where I'm controlling the ball. Right. And you see it becoming, I think it's really cool because it's becoming more popular as people are like, oh, this is sort of magical. Like I got more done in less time and I feel energized as opposed to depleted. That's kind of magic. The first time I experienced it, I didn't know what a flow state was. And I was like, what just happened? I was on a flight. I was going from Austin to SF. The next day, I was going to meet with my team. and I wanted to mock up an idea I had in Figma for a feature. So I thought, oh, I'll get on the flight and sort of do it. Got on the plane. Alaska runs that nonstop, and the captain's like, "Oh, hey kids, the Wi-Fi's out. Sorry, you know." We took off. Like 15 minutes later, we were descending, and I was like, "Oh man, something bad happened. We're in Dallas. Like the engine fell off, and they're gonna tell us we're on the ground. Like something bad is going on, right?" And I looked down, and we were descending in SFO. Over 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by since I last looked at my clock, and I just had no concept of time, but my designs were done. And when I got there, I didn't have to do run through the hotel lobby, grab a sandwich, go to the room, try and finish my stuff. I was
Yeah,
done. I really liked my stuff. I called a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, man, you want to have dinner? I have a free night that I didn't anticipate. And that was magical. Later, I realized that was a flow state, but at the time, I didn't know the word.
that's fascinating. I'm trying to remember the earliest time I can remember a flow state. It's
Hmm?
probably in college.
Yep.
I studied statistics, but a lot of like programming adjacent, digging into like, hey, here's building something.
Hmm?
Yeah, I can remember a few times of being like, sweet, this took me, 20 minutes. And it was like, no, that was 4 hours.
Yeah.
And being like, wow, I got so much done and that was a blast.
But you
I
felt
love
like
that.
up, right? Exactly. The thing is, you got the
Yeah.
work done, and it wasn't like, oh, I have to go to bed. I'm dead. It was like you felt good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm really curious. Um, you're building like you've built this company. How many people are in your company right now?
Right now, we have a few thousand daily actives. We've got about 34,000 that are floating in and out monthly, or
Yeah.
less frequently. I do notice there are patterns of people at certain times of year, certain times of the month are more active. And then there's like December, it's super quiet because everyone's
Oh,
out
I'm
Christmas
sure. Yeah.
shopping and stuff like that. Uh, so that's been super fun. Also, I noticed some patterns. A lot of remote workers, a lot of people are knowledge workers. Developers are part of our community, writers, designers, like UI UX designers. They all have work to do at home. A lot of people have kids. A lot of people are like, I really need to be conscious of how much time I have and I use it well. Because it's not like when I
Yeah.
was single, I could kind of stay up all night, whatever. Now I've got like to get up, get the kids to school. It's interesting how that sort of awareness of time influences people to seek out whether or not Suka company or, there are a lot of great companies out there that help you if you want help with managing your
Yeah.
time and just feeling a certain way. I mean, you don't know this, but I named it the Suka company, which is a weird ass name, right? No one, no one knows what it
It's
means off
different.
the bat.
Yeah.
But the reason I named it was a guy who had kids, and Laura, my wife, we met in yoga. We have a daily yoga practice, big part of our life. On our honeymoon, we went to Bali, which is a great place. You do yoga, hang out on the beach, do yoga for 10 days, right? And we had a working version. I was telling you, we had a working version of this going, but we had a working title. And I wanted to find a cool name, like Amazon's not like bookstore, Nike's not like shoe store. You know what I mean? Like I want to
Yeah.
say it's like interesting name, like Goddess of Victory. Oh, that's why he called it Nike, sort of thing. And I told this to Laura. I was like, you know what? The next 10 days, no one's gonna bug me. They know I'm on my honeymoon. Maybe my unconscious mind will come up with like that cool thing I've been grappling for and come up with a very bad name, right? And she's like, cool, good luck. So when we got there, I said, I think it would help me if I talked to maybe two or three of our current members and just go like, what do you love about this? Like, what's your favorite feature? Right. And maybe that would inspire me. So she went to the pool. I talked to three people on Zoom and, asked that question just like, hey, Jacob, you know, what's your favorite feature? Do you love like the flow music we have, the smart assistant, the blocker for your phone? Like, what is it that you love about this? Right. Third dude, I was going to hang up. I was like, I asked you for 10 minutes. I'm going to let you go. I want to respect your time. And he stops me and he goes, Steven, you asked the wrong questions. I was like, okay, guy that I don't know that well. Like, what was the right question? He's like, you should have asked me why I pay you. And I was like, we charge like 30 cents a day. Like, I don't collect a salary from this. Tony and I created this just because we think the world needs it. Like, we don't collect money from it, right? So I was like, we just pay the servers, but okay, fair enough. Why do you pay me? He's like, the past year and a half, I find I have two kinds of days. At 3 o'clock, I'm playing with my kids. They're 2 and 4 right now. Or at 6 o'clock, I'm like, where the hell did the day go? He said, I found the differences. Did I hit play before I started work in the morning in your website? He's like, so I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever. And I was like, okay, way better question than I was asking. You win, right? So I told this to Laura at dinner. I was like, I spoke to this guy who's like more articulate about what I've been grasping for than I am, right? And he said this, and she's like, yeah, that's really good, man. And we're going to bed, like cute little honeymooners in our little spa robes, brushing our teeth, right? And she looks at me, she goes, in yoga, we hear all these concepts like your karma and your dharma,
Yeah.
your life force, your prana, like all this stuff. She's like, that dude, the universe spoke to you. You wanted the universe to speak to you, spoke to you through that dude. He describes sukha, which is that feeling when you're in your lane doing the thing you're great at and you're in control, like you can do it with ease. He's trying to tell you, don't name the tool after like flow state app or like distraction blocker.
Yeah.
The universe is telling you, like, goal he wants is to be with his kids. He wants to feel in control of his day and be like, 3 o'clock, I'm on the floor playing blocks with them or Legos or whatever. And she's like, that's what you should name your stupid company. I'm going to bed. So I looked up and the domain, the stupid company was available. Bought it, $14, went to bed. That was it. That was it. And it's because a guy who had kids. He's like, no, man, you're barking up the wrong tree. It's about why I use it, not what the features are.
That is awesome. So how do you, on an individual level, like I've experienced this, I mean, not through the Suka company, though I'm going to try this afterwards.
Yep. Come say hi in the group chats.
How do you, so like on an individual level where, like I have lots of friends that are developers. We've talked about things like this, we like compare apps. How do you help a team? If you're like a manager or the CEO, how do you, number one, help your team recognize that, hey, this is a useful thing to try to pursue? And then two, how do you develop a culture that like rallies around this where it's, hey, how do you do your best work in a shorter amount of time?
How do you align teams? How do you align
versus
teams?
like,
that's why we're here.
Be clocked in from 9 to 5. So I'm curious your thoughts and experiences you've had with people doing that.
Fantastic question. Let me tell you a couple of things. Number one, you have been in a ton of stand-ups and staff meetings, right? In your life?
Yeah.
Has anyone walked into a stand-up or staff meeting, a Zoom meeting, whatever, and be like, returned all my emails. I finished returning my Slacks. And people are like, yes, amazing. No, it doesn't move the company forward. You know what I mean? But
I mean,
every
I've
now
seen
and then,
some product management and project management specific stand-ups that may sound like that, but I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Your company moves forward. Your team moves forward.
Yeah.
Because someone says the thing where they're like, yesterday I was actually kind of pursuing this feature, this idea, and like, I want to show you what I was coming up with. And people are like, oh my God, what Jake said, like, we should launch that feature. Like that changes the trajectory of what our company does, right? And that comes from deep work. That doesn't come from, hey man, every hour in the hour, we have a Zoom meeting where we all talk about what we're doing. You don't have 9 minutes between Teams meetings that you do deep work. You do it because whoever sets the conditions, which is the leader, says, hey man, deep work is important. No company won because their emails were returned. No company wins because the Slack messages were all replied to. They win because someone goes, I had an idea. So if you're the leader and you want to bring your team around to this, you have to acknowledge this. You have to go, hey, I actually want to have a culture where we do some deep work, either every day or Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something. Work out the chronotype, like you and I both are morning chronotypes. Like if I did that on my team, which I did in my last 2 companies, is we talked about like, when does everyone have that clarity of thought? So if we were to block out like an hour every day, we promise not to Slack each other, not to be bugging each other for stuff, but just no client meetings. Just in that hour, do the thing that changes our company. And not every day you're going to have a breakthrough. But if you have a practice of being in flow, it is astounding. Like you said this before we even started recording. You're like, I did more that morning than I did like in 20 hours. You create that culture as a leader and you go, this is where good ideas come from. I'm going to give everyone the trust that if you have this time every day from 9 to 10 or Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 11, whatever it is, out of that are going to come the things we go, that's why we won.
So I love that. Yeah. I think it does start from a leader acknowledging what's important. And then, right, when we talk about culture, our working definition of culture is that culture is the shared experiences and beliefs of a group of people, right? That not only do you have to say, hey, we believe this, you have to live it. And it's setting aside, hey, here's the hour. Like we're actually going to keep it protected.
Correct.
right, you've talked about that you have, developers, writers, and creatives and designers, which is all very creation work. What areas of flow is useful if you think of somebody outside of one of those groups? Say
I'll
if
tell
you
you,
have where the job might be a little more interactive. What
yeah,
what things could be useful for them to like exercise this muscle of like
I
getting
would
into
tell you
flow state?
straight up, I have so many friends who are founders, who are C-suite officers, who are, biz dev people, da, da, that when they know what I do, they're like, "Oh my God, I need that. I need it." Da, da, da. And I'm going to tell you straight up, these are even friends of mine. The days are not set up to be in flow, period. Because if you're in the C suite and you're like, I have board members I have to take care of, I have partnership deals I have to negotiate, I've got HR issues and admin stuff internally, I've got to deal with hiring. You're not going to do those hours of deep work. It's just really hard. So the answer to you is I haven't actually seen that, even though I have tons of friends and people who are not even friends say how much they need it. It's just not how the day is structured. What we do, flow states, like deep work, you're right. It is for knowledge workers. It's for people who create. I write the words, I write the code, I make the designs. That's the sweet spot for our community.
Which is interesting. So I think of this venture research firm that I worked at. The CEO, mainly smart, hardworking. I don't know if I've ever met a harder working individual.
Wow.
Obsessed with like creating something, making a better world through business.
That's awesome.
And he didn't need a lot of sleep. So, he was like every single morning, 4 a.m.
Mhm.
working on stuff. And
Yep.
so he did have that, like, hey, here's a flow state where he's like reading research papers and doing these different things where he was able to get really deep and understand. And then, the rest of the day of the C suite.
I think we both agree he is an outlier, not the
Yes.
rule.
Yes. Most people can't wake up at 3 a.m. every day, unless you go to bed at 7. But
You do.
oh no, I only do when I need to. I should be more intentional, but yeah, no, that is really interesting. I'm curious, kind of those groups,
Mhm.
um, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, and I have some ideas, but I'm curious your thoughts.
Mhm.
How does AI change flow states and deep work? Where a lot of the first thing that people are like, oh, what's AI going to do? Well, it's going to be really good at writing. It's going to be really good at
Mhm.
coding. These
Mhm.
types of things. Like it's not going to replace
Mhm.
the human interactions. I'm curious for your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll tell you how I look at I know a lot of people are just conflating LLMs with AI, right? That
Yeah.
they think it's all kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Yep.
let me just be clear. What I'm talking about is largely LLMs, right? Which are
Yeah.
the glorified version of Google autocomplete.
Yep.
They're very good prediction engines to say, hey, man, it's not just I know you want an S as the next character, but I know the next word or thought would be this, and I
Yeah.
can string them together, right? So that's what a good LLM is. It's a probabilistic sort of like way of saying, here's kind of what I've seen as a pattern before. You probably want this, right? Okay. So that said, I think the analogy that might explain my view best is if you were to go to like Usain Bolt, the fastest guy in the world, right? And said, hey, man, using AI, we developed a robot runs a little faster than you do. So how about you sit this one out? We're having the robot run. What do you say? And it would suck for Usain. It would suck for the spectators, right? But if you were to go to Usain and say, hey, man, using AI, we really look deeply at your stride and about your foot. And we have a shoe that might shave half a second off your time. What do you think? Be thrilling for Usain, thrilling for the spectators to see a new world record, right? So I think the way in which we leverage AI to do great human things, I'm super into. The replacement with a probabilistic engine means you're just kind of regurgitating the same stuff that it was trained on forever, and it's not super interesting. So I'll tell you very specifically, like in what we're doing, and this is about to launch, is when you do a session, like tomorrow morning, suppose you do one of your early sessions from, I don't know, 4 to 7 a.m., right? You do some great work. You got Suka running, it's playing music for you, it's blocking your distractions, the whole thing, right? The next morning, we're going to send you an email. And it's going to say, hey, here's a little morning after of like, here's what you got done task wise. Here's how you spent your time, sort of timeline of like, you used this, you did this. Oh, you opened your phone at 42 minutes in. Isn't that interesting? You every day at 42 minutes, you seem to open your phone. You're like, here's a little pie chart of what apps you're using, things like that, just so you can start to learn. One of the things I want to include in that, and I want to do this in a way that's not like alpha, beta, kind of hacky, and then kind of awful, but actually launch it when it's right, is to give you insights like, hey, Jacob, you know what? When you're coding in the morning, you do your best work when you're listening to Sonic Caffeine playlist. You know what? I'd see on your task list for tomorrow, there are these three things. By the way, I've noticed historically, you're best when you do them in a different order than you have them in your task list right now. Can I rearrange them to really optimize to how I see you working? I would love that. I'm hoping that other people do too, because I would love to sit down, say, I'm going to start at 7 a.m. and have my assistant go, dude, I know what playlist is best for you right now. I
Yeah.
got your task queued up. By the way, your IDE is open because we're going to start with fixing that bug from yesterday. I'm like, this is great. This is an accelerant to me, not a replacement to me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm a huge believer that AI actually the most useful way to use, any and all form of, whether you're going to call it machine learning or large language
Mhm.
models or AI or whatever,
Mhm.
is actually to make us more uniquely human
Yeah,
and
it's a great
increase
way to
our
put it.
our ability to create and contribute. Oh, excuse me.
I have a question for you. Given the skills that you have, this is not a question about being proud of your children, right? This is not about family life. But what is it you're most proud of that you've created?
That's a great question. Think often the first thing would be like, hey, here's a thing. But I think for me, it's become more of, hey, here's a muscle that, I've spent the last 10, 12 years in data science, right? AI before it
Hmm.
was cool.
Yep.
And there's consistently been this hype cycle around it of like, oh, we're going to do this amazing thing. And like, it's huge. And like a ton of funding goes that way. And I've always been on not saying, hey, it's not going to work, but I've always been on the, hey, that's so cool. How are we going to make it change this business like today?
Yeah,
How do we
sure.
actually make like real dollar value? And so I think the thing that when I think of what am I most proud of, it's my ability to look at the long term and then also the short term. And that takes, I think, a special skill set of being able to operate in the higher circles and, thinking and, the kind of this executive level
Agreed.
communication. And then also, oh, I can sit down and code for 5 hours straight and build something if we need to. Now it's become, hey, maybe it doesn't take 5 hours, maybe it takes 2 hours because I can use AI to help me do stuff that, I know what it needs to be and I can just explain it in a way that gets done quickly. And so I think that is what I'm most proud of, and I mean, I'm obviously biased in all of this, but like
Aren't we
that's
all?
yeah, like that's useful as it goes into the future of, okay, independent of what it is I'm working on, uh, how does this, can I bring value and create kind of net new value?
There you go.
How
That is
about you?
very cool. It's I view what I do now as the culmination of a lot of learning. So I'm very proud of that. And I'll tell you, there's a guy, Roy King, who's, he's publicly in Suka. When you're working and you finish one task a day, you can't flood the feed with it, but there's a group chat. And when you mark things as done in your task list, we'll ask you, hey, do you want to share that to inspire other people? Be like, oh,
Cool.
Jacob launched his new website. You can click and it goes, Jacob finished his new website in 2 hours and 10 minutes. And people can ask you
Sure.
about it and post your, all right? So
That's sweet.
your most important task each day, you have the opportunity to drop that in the group chat. So he dropped in this spring, finished my dissertation.
That's
And
cool.
people in the group chat were kind of like, hey man, that's that's kind of a big little task to
Yeah.
drop in here. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I've been, in Suka nights and weekends working on my PhD in engineering because by day I'm an assistant vice principal at some high school in Missouri. And he's like, so I
Wow.
know between like school and my kids, I get these little windows like 60 to 90 minutes a night, and I have to be super focused. That's all I get if I want to be a good dad and a good vice principal or whatever, right? So he said, I've been using this the past year and a half to really use that 90 minutes, not screw around, not open TikTok, not do whatever. And he's like, and I finished my dissertation. I just turned it in, but don't get excited because I still have to defend it.
Yeah.
And I was like, reading this chat going on, and I was like, oh, I remember that. My brother has 2 PhDs, so I remember that deal. So he said, but I defended like 2 weeks from Monday or something, right? So people are like, okay, cool. That weekend leading up to the Monday, people that I know do not know him. People in Japan and Spain, just like random members around the world, drop in the group chat. They're like, hey man, Roy, you got this on Monday. Oh, we're pulling for you. Like really nice stuff. And I was like, this is an awesome thing to be part of a community of people who are not like Twitter where they're hating on each other and trying to prove each other
Yeah.
wrong, or, TikTok, they're trying to shock each other and post. There's like, you got this. And on Monday, Roy doesn't post anything. And finally someone's like, hey man, anyone heard from Roy? Like, how did it go with the thing? Right? And no one's heard from him. And Tuesday morning, he drops in a group chat and he goes, you may now call me Dr. King. And
That's
people
awesome.
went nuts. The fact that we have a community of people who are productive and positive and trying to do something and support each other, I'm more proud of this than any movie I ever made.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and having this
super
conversation.
Fun. Thanks for having me.
This was great. So if people want to learn more about Suka, it's thesukacompany.com, right?
It's
or what's the best website?
TheSukha means happiness, thesuka.co for company.
Okay.
So thesuka.co, and it's free for 7 days. Like, we make it so people can do stuff. It's not about making money. So it's like, if you dig it, pay us $10 a month. If you don't, I'm glad you tried it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. This was an awesome conversation. Really excited to try out Suka and get more done.
Dude, drop in the group chat, and when you sign up, come in there and say hi. Tag me.
I will. Okay.
Thanks to everyone who's listening, playing along at home.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for being on, Stephen.